just welcoming everyone, and my fellow ambassador Raduta is there with their husband, most welcome. Fellow Joycean friends, all welcome. And of course we start with ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much. So welcome to one and all. I start with the stately plump Buck Mulligan came from the stairhead, bearing a bowl of lather on which a mirror and a razor lay crossed. And so starts the great and wonderful novel Ulysses with these opening lines. And what a novel. A day in the life of Dublin that takes place on June 16th, 1904, a date that marks the first time that James Joyce dated his wife, Nora Barnacle, in Dublin. He met her in 1904, he married her in 1931, so you can work it out for yourself. He was different. So today we celebrate the centenary of the publication of Ulysses. And it was very clear that Ireland, joining the State of Nations 1 month before the publication of the novel Ulysses in February 1922, was not ready for this book. Ulysses up until the 1970s was described in Ireland as that dirty book, that dirty book. It was also clear that Joyce wanted nothing to do with Ireland over this period. Today the story is also different. Joyce is now celebrated not only across the country, but across the world. How different Ireland has become, a nation that Joyce would have been proud to be associated with today. Similarly, for Ireland, Joyce is now one of our iconic authors, one that we as a nation are ready to connect with. How different official Ireland has become. Here I am making a speech about Joyce and about the wonders and everything he does. The Irish ambassador to Switzerland, where Joyce died in 1941, did not even attend his funeral. While Ireland never officially banned the book, well, some would say they never needed to, they have such control over what could be read, it could only be purchased at great difficulty even in the late 1960s. One famous author recalled attempting to buy Ulysses in the mid-1960s from several bookstores in Dublin. Finally, he found a bookstore, he found one, that was willing to sell a copy. Upon request, had to be requested, and if one seemed to have reached the age of maturity, and provided one made the request in a suitable, quiet and grave voice. It would then be retrieved from the back and wrapped in a brown paper bag and passed over to you, ensuring that no one was watching when the book was the transaction was made. And of course, times have changed. As John McCourt, an Irish, well-known Irish writer, said in an article in the Irish Times last Saturday, Ireland was once very dismissive, then overtly possessive of James Joyce, but today Ireland has just got the balance right. For many who have either tried to or have read this book, Ulysses is an acquired taste. It is a linguistic pyrotechnic demand, an unprecedented level of reader engagement. This book does, however, repay our commitment in spades. As the New York Herald said in 1922, it is this compelling display of verbal virtuosity that will keep many a reader reading on and on and on, even when the sense escapes them. There is, as the newspaper article said, in Ulysses, a witchery of words that woo. Very, very nice in terms of, our poet here might appreciate those type of language. One of the main characters of the book is called Leopold Bloom, a Dublin Jew who lived not far from where I grew up in Dublin. This is why the celebration of Ulysses is called Bloom's Day, and perhaps the only international feast day dedicated to a work of art. This book that Joyce started writing in 1904 was finally published in Paris in 1922, hence the reason we're here in the Alliance Francaise. We want to have connection with it. And Ulysses is one of the most detailed and affectionate portraits of a city in all of literature. Yet Joyce wrote none of it here, none of it in Dublin. He wrote this novel while he lived in Trieste, Pula, Zurich, and then in the end Paris. As Joyce said to his wife when he completed the novel, and he said it in his Dublinese, "Now, me darling Nora, I want you to read over and over all that I've written to you. Some of it is ugly and bestial, some of it is pure and holy and spiritual, but all of it is myself." And this is how Joyce saw Dublin on that famous day when he saw people do and say how we lived in our lives. I'm going to, I may be blocked up, my fantastic. James Joyce is often referred to as a modernist writer. In Ulysses, Joyce tells the story of a single day, in a single place, but from many different points of view. And this book is so lyrical and captures your imagination. I just love his use of rhyme and language and words. In this book, he captures what it's like to look, for example, in the famous chapter 3, he captures and looks on the Irish Sea, but what he feels like to swim in the Irish Sea. And he describes it as the sea, the snot green sea, the scrotum tightening sea. This, of course, was from a male perspective. Another great Irish writer, Ed O'Brien, gave the best advice that I could give any potential reader of this book. It is best, she said, to listen to the book on audiobooks. And then if your interest is piqued, go ahead and read. And as John McCourt, as I said earlier, written in the Irish Times, said, like all great literature work, Ulysses continues to be relevant in this changing times. Its extraordinary evocation of the need for justice, dignity, and mutual respect is as presently necessary today as it ever has been. Now, while this is the first time that we are officially celebrating Bloomsday in the Philippines, tonight is not entirely our last celebration of the year. I'm pleased to announce publicly that we will launch for a larger event to be held in partnership with Ateneo University in September, October. This will take the shape of a forum. This will take the shape of a forum with Filipino experts, providing fresh and revealing insights into the impact and parallels of this novel to the Filipino context. But also, we didn't do this journey alone, we met people along the way, and I would like to extend my personal thanks to friends of Ulysses here in Manila, who have joined the embassy family in guiding us on this Joycean journey here in the Philippines, and this is part of the journey tonight. Firstly, I would like to thank Kevin Connolly and Ia Ramos. And to also thank the team at Ateneo University, Dean Jonathan Chua, Professor Mark Rafferty-Skehan, and Mr. Manuel B.J. and Verga. So thank you very much. And for all their great support in helping to conceptualize the forum on Joyce and for their openness to engaging with the embassy. And finally, I would like to thank the Alliance Francaise for hosting us here tonight. It just simply is a great venue, and we certainly request to be other events here in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.